You're not broken. Something was just stolen from you and you need to get it back. These companies like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, they hire the smartest people in order to figure out how to steal your attention. They then sell your attention to advertising companies and make millions of dollars off of you. The problem is that when you now go to sit down and try to do something that's important to you, like finish a book or build a side hustle, you can't do it because your attention has been stolen or fragmented by these companies. So the first step in regaining your focus and your ability to lock in is to realize that you're not broken or undisciplined, but that your focus was stolen from you and you need to get that back. If this is your first time here, I'm Kelly, and every week I go over the best ideas from the best books and I teach them to you so that hopefully you can use these ideas and get more of whatever it is you want from life. This week we're going over a few books: Deep Work and Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport, Flow by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, and Stolen Focus by Johann Hari. Most of the information that we get on how to focus, it doesn't work. Normally we get one or two tips here or there, but at the end of the day, it's not enough to actually regain our focus and lock in on the things that matter. In order to do that, you need to see the entire picture, which is why we're going over all these books today. Johann Hari spent years studying neuroscientists, researchers, and found that they are intentionally engineering our environment in order to steal our focus. Cal Newport in Deep Work tells us that in an environment where no one can focus, if you can build that skill, it becomes incredibly rare and incredibly valuable, something that you may even be able to profit off of. Then in Digital Minimalism, he teaches us how to break these chains that these companies have put on us and how to really start to reclaim what's ours. Then lastly, we look at Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi and we see what can really happen to us when we regain our focus and how we can slip into these amazing states of flow. So let's start with the entire system as a whole, because you can't fight something that you can't see. So here's how it works. You spend your time, your attention on these apps, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. They then take this data and they give it to advertising companies who pay them big money. These platforms, Instagram, TikTok, are getting rich off of your attention. And the crazy part about it is when you're sitting there scrolling, the point is not for them to make you happier or satisfied. The point is actually that you are dissatisfied. So you continue to come back to the app over and over in order to feel a little bit better about yourself. So you spend all this time, all this attention on something that's not even designed to make you feel good. And behind the scenes, these platforms are getting rich off that time and that attention that you're giving to them. In his book, Stolen Focus, Johann Hari talks about how these companies hire the smartest scientists, ex-gambling addicts, people from all different walks of life in order to intentionally design their apps in a way that are going to pull you in and keep you addicted, to lock you into their app so you continue to give them your time and your attention. The entire environment around you is designed that way. And unless you can really see that, you can't start to break those chains and step away. So now you can kind of see what you're up against, what's happening in the environment around you. The next step is looking at Cal Newport's book, Deep Work, because he really shows you what's at stake when your focus is stolen from you. He says that your time, every hour of your day, falls into two categories. The first is deep work. It's where you're focused on cognitively demanding tasks. Work that is stretching your abilities, work that enables you to create new things. It could be time that you spend reading or studying or building. And typically, in order to be doing deep work, you need to spend 2 or 3 hours on a task to really slip into that focus. This deep work matters because 1 hour of deep work builds on every hour that came before it. It compounds. And as you stay in this zone for long enough, you eventually build something that is valuable, maybe just to you, or maybe it's valuable to other people to a point where they want to buy it from you. But you only get there from spending time in deep work. The alternative is shallow work, where you're just doing one-off tasks like, answering an email here or going to a meeting, doing little things that maybe feel productive, but are not really building to anything. The problem with this side is that people can spend their entire lives, their entire careers here doing these small tasks that don't build towards anything, and at the end of the day end up wasting their entire life. But most people spend their life in that zone of shallow work because their attention has been stolen from them. It goes to show you how dangerous and how destructive it is for you to spend your life here, and what's really at stake, what is really being stolen from you from these companies. The point of deep work is that your ability to focus in a world where no one can focus is a rare and valuable skill. And as you continue to lean into that, you can build things that may really pay off in the future. So now that you can kind of see the environment around you, you know what's at stake, the question becomes, okay, how do I now recapture my focus? How do I regain the ability to lock in? And that's where Cal Newport's next book, Digital Minimalism, comes in. He says this is a 3-step process. Step 1 is to cut out anything in your life that's not benefiting you. It's to just completely get rid of the apps, the video games, or even the relationships, the junk food, anything that's not really contributing to a better life. Not forever, but just for the next 30 days. He says that willpower is not enough. These companies have spent too much money. They've hired people who are smarter than you and I to steal our attention. And the only way to get it back is to do a full reset. For the next 30 days, cut out everything that you can. Step 2 is to fill that time instead with things that build you up as a person. Things like reconnecting with nature, having deep connections with friends or family, side hustles, working on hobbies, things that fill you up and make you feel better, more connected, more alive. And as you do this, you will notice how you start to feel different, how you start to have your own thoughts again, how you start to get new ideas and see things in a different way. And your life just becomes more meaningful, more full, more fulfilled. And then step 3 is to be intentional about the things that you reintroduce. So all these things that you took out of your life, it's to put them back, but pass them through a filter, to be conscious and intentional and only allow the things that could give you some benefit to flow through that filter and come back into your life. That's a 3-step process to get rid of everything that's not benefiting you. Again, not forever, for the next 30 days, to reconnect with the things that fill you up and build you up as a person, and then only reallow those things into your life that contribute to your life. That's how you break this cycle of addiction and how you can regain your focus and your ability to lock in. Then lastly comes the ultimate payoff from all of this. And this is where the book Flow by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi comes in. He did an interesting experiment where he figured out where people were the happiest and most fulfilled in their life. He would check in with people at various times in the day and sort of assess how they felt while doing different tasks. And what he found was incredibly surprising to most people. And that was people are happiest and most fulfilled not when they are at a party or relaxing or on a vacation. They are happiest when they are engaged in a challenging task in which they have skills to accomplish. People found this very surprising, and as did I. It's not when you are, just relaxing or having fun that you feel the best in life. It's when you are actually engaged in meaningful work. And here's how it works. So on this side, you have a task or a challenge. It goes from being very easy to very hard. And on this axis, you have your skills. Either you don't have any skills for a particular task, or you are very skilled. We'll say you have 100% skill. When your task is too hard and you don't have a lot of skill, you just develop anxiety. It's not a happy place to be. When you're doing a task that is too easy, or maybe you are just way too skilled in this particular task, it's boring. And again, it's not a good place to be. It's when you're engaged in a task that is challenging, it is hard, but you also just have the right amount of skill to accomplish that task. It's where you're sort of pushing your boundaries a little bit, doing something that is hard but that you can manage. That's the sweet spot. That's where you're able to slip into this state that's called flow. This is the state that people say is better than just being relaxed, better than being on a vacation, better than being at a party, right? This might be the meaning of life, is to be able to slip into this state of flow as time passes away, as you are not aware of anything else. And this is what these companies are stealing from us, which is why I'm so passionate about reclaiming our focus and our ability to lock in. Because when you can finally do that, see the system around you, block off that time that you need, you may be able to slip into the state of flow, and this may be the meaning of life, right? So why is it so hard to do? Why is it so hard to reclaim our focus? What is going to happen over the next couple days as you try to engage on this journey of reclaiming your focus? Usually what happens is there's a little voice in the back of your head that steers you off course. It starts to say things like, look, I'm not addicted to social media. I look at it the same way that anybody else does. And to that I would say, okay, well, when's the last time you finished a book, or you finished doing that thing that was important to you, or you sat down for an hour at a time and focused on something that was meaningful? If you haven't been able to do that, then you have a problem. Or you might say, I'm just going to try harder. I'm going to be more disciplined, more focused, and use my willpower in order to focus on the things that are important. And to that, I would say, again, these companies have spent millions of dollars. They have tools and insights and psychologists that we don't have, all designed to steal our focus. So maybe your willpower won't be enough. Instead, follow the 3-step process where you just cut everything out, re-engage with things that fulfill you, and then slowly reintroduce the things that could help you. And lastly, you may get that little voice in your head that says, I don't want to miss anything important. I don't want to miss out if I'm not on social media. And to that, I would say, look, you're not cutting it out forever. You're just doing it for long enough to break that cycle of addiction. And that maybe instead of missing out on news or social media, you could be missing out on the meaning of life itself, which is to slip into that state of flow. And reclaiming your focus, it doesn't need to be some crazy thing. It doesn't mean you have to throw your phone in the ocean and never talk to your friends again. For me, it looks sort of like this. Look, in the morning, I make sure I don't have my phone. I do an hour of meditation, of journaling, of affirmations. Then I do some exercise, right? Then it's off to work, where I handle the urgent tasks first, and then the next couple hours I lock into deep work where I put my phone away and I focus on the things that are important. Lunchtime, I go to the gym, I eat, then it's back to work. In the afternoon, this is where I struggle a bit with social media, I'll be the first to admit. Right? But again, I try to block off some time and lock in. The evening I get home, I eat, I do my admin. Then comes the most important time of the evening for me, where I set aside 2 hours of deep work where I lock in on a task that's important to me. My side hustle or a hobby or something I'm reading or studying. This is where sometimes, if I'm lucky and I'm consistent, I can slip into that state of flow. On the weekends, it's similar. I wake up again with meditation, affirmation. I try to do some exercise. And then again, I lock in for the next couple hours. I put my phone away and lock in on a task that's important to me. This again is where I'm able to slip into that state of flow where the world seems to fade away and I'm just building my skills and I'm working towards something that is meaningful. The afternoon, I do some admin, and then it's hanging out with friends and family. So you can see how you don't need to be a robot. You don't need to throw your phone away. You just need to be intentional about, okay, where are these times that I'm going to block off and dedicate to focus? And as you do that, you'll start to build a much more meaningful life, right? A life that is intentional, a life that produces things that are valuable. This is where I'll leave you. Look, before maybe you didn't realize that the entire system, the entire environment was rigged against you. But now you have the tools in order to beat that system, to cut out everything that's not benefiting you, to reintroduce the things that build you up as a person, and to only allow the things in your life that will benefit you. Before, maybe your time was scattered. You were spending time doing things that were shallow, that weren't going to benefit you in the long run. But now you set aside time to lock in, to do deep work, and to build on meaningful tasks, to read, to study, to do things that are important to you, and create things that are valuable. Before, maybe you thought this all just really didn't matter, but now you realize what's at stake. Now you're able to slip into those states of flow and to really see the meaning of life, to really see something that can make you more happy than just partying, more happy than just relaxing. Now you can understand what it means to be in that flow state. So thank you for sharing your time, your energy with me, and I hope to see you again next week for the next episode in this series.